Hey guys, I have been struggling with my series on how to write metal, so I'm just gonna do this instead because it was not coming out well yet. I'm getting there. I promise it's coming. I promise. I guess I just wanted to talk about this today because I've seen many comments on my videos, on others' videos, on hearing it from other people that mix, hearing it from people that don't mix, saying it doesn't make sense. It's that I'm not following the rules of mixing. I know that. And it's okay if you don't follow the rules either. In my opinion, breaking the rules of mixing is what makes a good mix in the first place. Yes, there is specific rules that you should follow generally, and it wouldn't be good if you broke them. But if you don't try to step outside of what is right or what is the correct way to do something, you're never going to really progress past a certain point because you're not experimenting, you're not innovating anything. You're just going to sound like everything else. You're going to be like everything else. If that's what you're going for, that's great. But that's not what that's not what I go for. Even on my Thal guitar tone tutorial, I've gotten comments like, dude, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. That maybe, but it sounds great. So what's the point? Like, why are you telling me if it sounds good? It is good. And this isn't to like bash on people for leaving those comments or thinking the way they do. It's just how they were taught, and that's completely understandable. But if you tell me that I'm wrong, or I'm doing something wrong, or if someone is wrong, they're doing something wrong, it doesn't matter if it's me or someone else, I'm going to have the same opinion. You can look at people at the top of the top and they're all following those rules and that works for them. That's great. But what if those rules don't really work for you? What if you can't get it quite right, but there's a different way you can do it and it sounds great and it works? You're just not going to do it because it's not right? Like, come on. For example, I'm only using this as an example because it's the only one I have on hand, but on the Thal guitar tone tutorial video, I've had comments like, why are you boosting the sub on the guitar? Why are you even cut it later? Why are you doing that? This is cringe. No hate to that guy if you're watching. I take that criticism to heart. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm wrong either. This is just a compromise, okay? Yes, boosting the sub of a guitar, that's like a big no. Like, why would you do that? But it sounded great. Why are you making so many little cuts that are so insignificant and making it this and that? It sounds good. And that's good. It kind of makes me laugh, not because I think anyone is wrong for telling me I'm wrong. There is a lot of times I'm wrong, and there's a lot of times that these kinds of comments have actually helped me. But when I'm looking at, for example, just because I really like the way Buster mixes his stuff, is he's doing all this crazy stuff that, like, if you show someone at the top, like, of everyone in the audio game, their heads would like explode. What are you doing? That Buster makes killer mixes. So is he really wrong? And I understand to break the rules, you have to understand the rules. You have to know why they are there. You have to know the purpose of those rules. And I spent a good 8 years of my life dedicated just strictly to mixing, mastering, producing, writing, and I do know a lot of the rules, and I do have a pretty decent grasp on a lot of it. It's just I don't want to sound the way the rules say it should sound. I want to push past that. I want to make something new. I want to make something feel utterly massive no matter what it is. I want it to sound like it's slamming. I want it to sound like it's like just a surreal heaviness of sound. And I love that feeling in music, and you just wouldn't be able to do that if you followed the rules, because the rules would tell you that's too much bass, that's too much this, that's too much that, you're cutting too much, you're boosting too much, you're boosting in the wrong spots, and blah blah blah. If I continued to listen to that advice, I wouldn't be making anything that I'm happy with, because that's not what I'm going for. You shouldn't have to be afraid to experiment with your music or your sound. Every top engineer has probably broken rules to get the sound that they have now. Buster Odholm, in my opinion, Elliot Merriman from Our Common Collapse, like, they have a pretty similar style, but I'm almost 100% certain that they do the same weird rule breaking that I do. If you're not doing everything you can to create your own sound, even if it means not playing by the rules, you're just gonna sound like everyone else. And if you sound like everyone else and you're trying to charge someone for your mixing, or producing, like why would they hire you specifically then? That's just kind of how I see it. And that being said, if you are breaking the rules to try and get your own sound, there are, of course, places and times to break those rules. I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier in this video. Like, you cannot get around the fact that the mud of a guitar is around 250, or the bass, whatever. That's just fact. That doesn't really change too much. It's always in that same general area. You always cut that because it sounds bad. That's just how it is. But the things that you can bend and break and mold to yourself and your own style is stuff like what you do to your DI before it hits the amp. Do you add saturation to it? Do you put OTT on it, which is something I never would have thought to do, but someone in my Discord server told me to try it, and holy, it works. Like, just doing that alone, like, that's against the rules technically, but it took the mix from being like down here to just instantly up here. It was night and day difference. It changed the feel of the entire song just because I wanted to experiment and break some more rules. I guess the whole point of this video was mostly to just tell you, stop caring. Just don't care. Don't care if someone who knows what they're talking about tells you you're wrong. Don't care about any of that. Take their valid criticism to heart. Apply that criticism. But if you're doing something that isn't really like something that they would do, but it still sounds good, keep doing it. That's your sound. That's how you develop your style. This was just a rant today, so I apologize. I do have interesting stuff coming very soon though, like the metal songwriting series. I have more demos planned for you guys. I have a bunch of stuff, so stick around for that. And until next time, bye.